Come on in.
Ever wonder what it's like to be a consumer protection investigator, or the kinds of things that they can help you with? Stay tuned as we go by the numbers. Hi, I'm Eric Friedman, Director of Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection, and welcome to another episode of Consumer Compass. You may not realize we have 16 employees on staff. We have 10 investigators. Each one has a specialty. So I thought for this episode we would shadow one of our experienced employees, Doug Numbers. Doug has been with OCP for over 18 years, and his expertise is in towing, household moves, and car scams.
We could advise them they should contact the police.
We had videographer Mike Springeth follow him around for a few months. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Investigator Doug Numbers with the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection. I investigate all kinds of stuff. The office handles anything from towing to home improvements to auto repairs. There's a whole gamut of complaints just about any consumer transaction that we do. I'm on phones. Okay.
Doug, tell me who everybody is here.
This is volunteer John Creel.
Third class.
Third class.
Volunteer.
John was here for 30 years and retired, but still comes back to help us out. This is my supervisor, Ralph Vines. Also been here 20 years. Good boss. He's very supportive of the staff and helps us whenever he can and gives us as much support as possible. This is Joe Rosado. Joe speaks Spanish. Joe's got an engineering background. Joe deals with credit and phones because he's an engineer, so we gave him the phones, the wireless phone stuff. This is Investigator Jim Parks. Been with the office for what, 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, 3 years. Jim's always around the water cooler.
Hey, Doug, tell me what your job is today.
Today I'm on what's known as info duty around here. Emails to start my day, as always, which is basically answering questions from consumers who call in. Consumer protection. Consumer protection. The issue is they may not even take a complaint because you don't have a lease with this lady. Tell them, we can't take a complaint because they're outside of our jurisdiction. My office doesn't deal with landlord-tenant issues, all right? So I don't want to give you the wrong advice, unfortunately. Basically, general information. Can you hang on 1 second? To consumers to educate them. Under 8213 of the Real Property Code, which is state law. So I will do that today as part of my info day. So they only would have to prove the expenses if you don't move in.
I want you to go through the phone call and what happened and what was the woman talking about.
I just got what we call an info call. Consumer protection, Doug Numbers, somebody wanting to call in and looking for information who got towed. All right, where were you towed? Where were you parked? Basically, what's known as a non-consensual or trespass tow. They were parked on private property, and the property has some kind of restriction on it, whether it's permit parking or 2-hour parking or, don't park here and go somewhere else. Okay, I'm sorry that happened to you, ma'am. There's a 4-foot by 8-foot sign facing Woodmont Avenue, and there's a number of smaller signs around the property, when you come into the Connor building that warns if you park and leave the property. This was a building down in Bethesda that I know. It's well signed. It's got quite a few signs on it. It's got a very large sign at the entrance, a 4-foot by 8-foot sign at the entrance warning people not to park there and go elsewhere. It basically says if you park and leave, you will be towed. Well, ma'am, So she's upset, which I can understand. Having your car towed without your permission, I understand, makes anybody upset or angry. Unfortunately, there's no, they could tow you after 2 minutes, 1 minute. There's nothing in the law that says they have to give you time to come back. She basically parked at the building and went to a restaurant next door. Ma'am, I understand you're upset at the price. The woman was upset about the charges. It was $168 to have a tow from Bethesda to Rockville, which, is expensive, but we set the rates. Now, unfortunately, the county sets the rates. We set the maximum rates, and we survey jurisdictions around the area. We're in line with just about any other jurisdiction in the area. So $168 is what it is. Unfortunately, it's the maximum, and I don't know of any tow company that charges less than the maximum. Unfortunately, everybody charges the maximum. Okay, have a good day, ma'am. All right, bye-bye.
Doug, there was an article in the Washington Post regarding towing, and they quoted Montgomery County's Consumer Protection.
Yeah, I believe I was quoted in it, yes.
Yeah. So tell me about that article and how you guys were involved.
Towing is our largest complaint category, in the office. So, and basically the Post wanted to follow up. There's been some prior stories, there's been some other stuff, and they wanted to do an article on, what's going on in the towing world, and, what are we seeing, what trends are we seeing. A lot of people call it predatory towing. There was a story in there about a lady got towed out of McDonald's in Bethesda, basically claiming she just walked across the street to go to the post office, but that she had done business in the McDonald's and then still got towed, after a couple minutes. Yeah, it happens. If the if the tow company sees you or the manager sees you park and leave and go somewhere else and they call their tow company, we did a story on this a couple years ago. A tow truck can tow you rather quickly, and usually less than a minute. They can hook up your car and be heading out of that lot with it. To me, predatory towing is, you're swooping in and taking somebody's vehicle without justification. That to me, predatory towing would be, you don't have a contract, you don't have authorization, the property is not signed in compliance with the law, and yet you're coming in and towing somebody's vehicle and taking it away. I think if you get towed from going to one store to the next in the same shopping center and you get towed after 2 minutes or something like that, that's predatory towing. That people, are swooping in, grabbing your car because the guy next door has 2 spaces and the guy next door has 2 spaces. That makes business unfriendly to me. Ma'am, you should file a complaint with us. I can email you a complaint form. The woman on the phone was also upset that her car went all the way to Rockville from Bethesda. Well, we regulate that as well. The maximum a vehicle can be towed in the county is 12 miles. And it cannot be towed outside the county, so they couldn't tow it from Bethesda over to Prince George's or Virginia. It has to stay within Montgomery County. And the county regulations require tow companies to stay open at least 2 hours after the quote-unquote last tow of the day. So if they towed your car at 2 a.m., they should still be available to release your car to you until 4 a.m. So he hasn't been licensed.
He hasn't been licensed
11 years. Okay. We're talking about curb stoning. The investigation we're working on, and all, which curb stoning basically is an illegal car seller, selling used cars without a license. In Maryland, requires dealers to be licensed.
What we're talking about here are people buying cars from people who aren't licensed as dealers or as salespeople or anything else. They're just independent people selling multiple cars to people without being licensed. The MVA requires that you have a lot, number one, a permanent place of business. You have to be licensed, and you have to have all of this if you're selling more than 3 cars a year. A lot of what we're dealing with here are people who do not have a license, do not have any permanent place of business, therefore they're not bonded, they're not insured, and what we end up with are people who take people's money, promising to bring them the car the next day. The car never shows up, the money never shows up, and we never find the quote-unquote salesperson again. A lot of this happens if you drive around the county. You'll see parking lots with cars and a little for sale sign on them. You would think that's just an individual selling their car. But when you see 2 weeks later the same phone number on a different car, and then a month after that, the same phone number when you had a third, a fourth, a fifth car. You have somebody who's obviously in the business of selling cars, probably not licensed, and when you deal with that type of person, if you do actually make the transaction and get a vehicle, you're going to end up with problems with it, and you're never going to be able to find the guy who sold it to you again. You have absolutely no recourse. You've bought a car. You've really bought it under less than appropriate pretenses. So when you have problems with it, you have no leg to stand on. And there's an awful lot of that going on in the county, and that's what we're trying to get a handle on. I saw one several months ago where the person did business with somebody who isn't licensed, and instead of charging the 6% sales tax, which is the law in Maryland, they were charging them 10%. And on top of that, an additional fee for completing the transaction, which is basically just sending the paperwork to the MVA in Glen Burnie. So you not only get ripped off on a car you buy, the ancillary paperwork around that car, if it gets processed at all, is going to get processed at a higher rate, inappropriately charged, things of that nature. So it's a pretty big problem.
Right. Well,
that poor guy on those cars on New Hampshire Avenue, where the guy gave him a deposit the day before we took all those cars. He gave a guy a deposit on that one of the Honda Pilots that was sitting out there. He gave the guy a $2,000 deposit on. We were there on Thursday, right? It was a Thursday. Yeah. Gave the guy a deposit on Wednesday. He comes back and meets the guy on Saturday to give him the rest of the money, and he tells the guy, "Oh, by the way, your car's in the county police impound lot. You can go pick it up there." And the guy came up to get it, and we gave him his car because he had, he had actually gone and gotten the title. He actually bought the car, but that's how brazen some of these guys are. Here, go get your car at the county police impound lot. Thanks for your money. And when Detective Egner and I checked it out, turns out the car was a rebuilt salvage and everything like that. And then this guy paid like $6,000 for a rebuilt salvage vehicle.
The issue is know who you're dealing with, and if you're dealing on a shopping center parking lot, you're dealing on anything other than a used car lot where you can look at the license, which has to be posted. You can look at how they do business and make sure that they are licensed by the Motor Vehicle Administration. The best thing you can do is not pull your money out of your pocket, because there's a real good chance that you'll lose it one way or another. You either won't get the car you're paying for, or you'll have significant problems with that car down the road. Now, there are legitimate individuals selling their own cars.
Sure.
The easy way to determine that is ask to look at the title. Ask to look at the driver's license of the person selling you the car. They should match. If it's my car, my driver's license is on the title. And if I'm going to sell it to you, my driver's license and the title should match. If they don't, turn around, keep your money, walk away.
While we take a lot of complaints by phone, some consumers walk into our office at 100 Maryland Avenue in Rockville. Yes, Peg. Okay, I'll be out as soon as I can. Okay, bye-bye. Are we together? Yeah. Come on in. Hi, I'm Doug Numbers. I'm one of our investigators. On this day, Dorette Hess and Angela Mason wanted some advice on a problem with a builder who installed windows in their houses that were only 6 years old. I listened to her complaints about the windows.
They were not treated, they were not primed,
Okay.
And so as a result, all of our windows are falling apart.
Decided to get some help from one of our supervisors, Ralph Fines. Hello. Hi. This is my supervisor, Ralph Fines. He's he's staffed to the builders board. He's been dealing with home builders and home improvement stuff for the office for years. So he's more the expert on it, the information in it, than I am. So that was one of the reasons I brought Ralph in. I thought he'd be able to give them better information than I could.
So my question now would be then, do you think the windows are defective or they were put in incorrectly?
Put in incorrectly.
We had 3 dormers, the dormers on top of our house. All of those were replaced.
There are gaps like that
Around the front of the bay window, the back bay window.
all of our trim rotted.
The trim around the front of the bay window, the back bay window, the back door.
Okay, so you haven't had them all completely replaced.
No,
Okay.
that would have been 60,
Yeah.
70,000 bucks. But
Right.
you know.
I understand that people are frustrated, but I mean, we'd be able to educate them on the fact that here's what the county warranty law requires. Let's be clear. The biggest problem you're up against is we have no warranty issue here for us. You know, the 1-year warranty is run. You're 5 years into owning these homes. You know, we can't, you know, it's not a violation of the warranty law. Houses for a period of time, and unfortunately they're outside of the warranty for the issues that they're complaining about. You may have a case for breach of warranty, okay, but that's something you're going to have to pursue before a judge. But that would have to be adjudicated in a court. You know, it's not something we're going to be able to, you know, necessarily resolve. Hopefully we'll be able to help them. Hopefully we'll contact a builder, and the builder may be cooperative and be willing to try to work with this office to make the people happy. Or the pressure may be, look, they're going to turn around and sue you, and they may have a good case for breach of warranty. We've received the following complaints. You know, here you go, right. But if we can't achieve that, you know, they may end up having to pursue their own private legal action. The documents and separate complaints, I think, beautiful. Okay.
There was a day when the villain was easy to spot. These days are different. Late one night, Grandpa receives a phone call. A young man says, "Hi, Grandpa. It's me. Adam, is that you? You sound funny." "It must be the phone line, Grandpa. I'm out of the country, and I've run into some trouble. I was arrested for drunk driving, and I need bail money immediately." He explains that he's in jail, so he'll have to send the money to his traveling partner, Tim Lee, who's waiting for the money right now to bail him out. "Oh, and please don't tell Mom or Dad. They would be so disappointed in me." Grandpa, worried about his grandson Adam, sends the money. Adam never got any money, but Tim Lee, he got what he wanted. You work hard for your money. Don't let a few minutes with a scammer separate you from what's taken days, weeks, or even a lifetime to earn. Consumer Federation of America reminds you, before you send money, stop and check with someone you trust to confirm that your grandchild is truly in trouble. Crooks may also call or send emails posing as other relatives or friends who need your help, so verify any emergency situation. You can protect yourself from fraud. Learn how at consumerfed.org/fraud.
I understand you need a little help with your mortgage. Want to avoid foreclosure. Candy? Well, you know, you're in luck. We're experts in this sort of thing. Mortgage, rigmarole, whatnot. Why don't we get a contract? Who wants a contract?
Here you go, Pete.
Thanks, Betty.
Brought a toner.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
Another case I handled in recent months, people purchased a brand new car from a brand new Audi from a dealer here locally, but it was part of a kind of an interesting program that Audi has that you could go to Germany, see your car being built at the factory, and then pick it up from the factory. Basically, we're looking, Mr. Mazzanamati bought a brand new car in Germany of all places. Unfortunately, they had a little incident in Germany, a little accident where the car got damaged, and they've had a couple issues with the repairs. When I looked at it the last time, there were flaws in the paint job. It had some areas underneath the clear coat where there was flaws. It wasn't done properly, and it had haze and everything in it, and it needed to be repaired again and done right. So, and I'm looking at it again to see whether they've done a better job at fixing it. So they filed a complaint with us, and we contacted the dealer, and they took another shot at repairing the car, which was our advice to the consumer. You know, let them have a shop. Many people think you can just go somewhere else, have your car fixed, and make them pay for it. Well, that's not how it works. When there's a warranty on someone's work, be it car, be it your home, you know, there's under warranty law, you have to give them an opportunity to cure the problem. And we're looking at the repairs. This is the third time, Mr. Anamati, they've tried to repair it. Looking to see if the paint matches between adjacent panels, that we have a good match, you know, that there's no big flaws in the paint like runs or dirt or anything like that. Artificial lighting can play havoc with colors. Lights, halogen lighting, fluorescent lighting can make paint look different. So I always like to look at cars outside in the sunshine. If you want to turn it around and put this side in the shade, we can take a look at it, but sunlight's going to show your flaws, okay? Under direct sunlight, you're going to see anything that's going to pop out there. Whereas dark light on a dark, you know, not being in the shade, you're not going to see a minor flaws or stuff like. Oh, we probably wouldn't have really seen the stuff we saw the last time if you were in the shade. Now, I had to explain to the consumers, of course, that it's not going to be 100% like factory original because it's not being done in a factory, it's being done in a body shop. The conditions are different, it's not being painted by a robot. You know, there's much different conditions. But when I looked at the vehicle a second time when they had gotten it fixed, they did a very nice job. The paint match was very good. You could not tell that this car had been damaged, and that's the real goal of you want to be able to see the car and not see that it's actually been in some type of crash. So it is done much better from when they've done a much better job. It looks good. Now, if you have any issues, or they should have warranty their work. If anything happens, the paint starts to peel or anything like that, there should be a warranty on their work, and they should stand behind it.
It was very helpful.
Yeah, this is our second time that we had a great experience with this office. The first time was 10 years ago for the house.
But they did a good job?
Yes, very good. Very good.
That just makes you feel good that you're able to help the people, and they needed, they wanted help. They don't know body repairs.
The name of the office implies consumer protection, and they work for the consumer.
If you have any other issues, you know where to get us. You know where to find us. You've been here before, right? They don't know, what's good quality versus bad quality, that type of thing. And I was able to explain to them that, the final job that was done was a good quality repair and all, and they were very happy with it. And that makes me feel good that I'm able to help them understand and resolve the complaint for them.
Respond to these questions.
Another way that we interact with consumers is using modern technology with our director, Eric Friedman.
This week we're doing a live online chat.
We're doing an online question and answer session so people could ask us live, try to help them with questions right there that day.
Okay guys, we just got a new one. Looking like it came in from Eastern Montgomery. I moved to Silver Spring from Wheaton. When the movers got to my house, they raised the price $200 from the original estimate. They refused to give me my furniture until I paid them. How is this legal? Can I get my money back? And we're going to need our moving expert, Doug Numbers.
It depends on the move. There's two types of moves. Federal moves, which is state to state, like you move from here in Maryland to California. And there's local moves that will all occur within one jurisdiction, which is like here in Maryland, they all occur within Maryland. Now, Maryland has its own moving law that would apply. So if they move from Silver Spring to Wheaton, that's an intrastate move, so that Maryland law would apply and they can't hold the goods hostage. If you get to the end of the move and they say, well, we now want $3,000, even though they gave you an estimate for $500 to do your move, they cannot hold your goods hostage.
This technique of saying they're not going to unload the truck is not legal.
It's not legal, and they can call the police and have them come out and order them to release the stuff because it's theft at that point,
right?
Under the law, and that's that. We can. If this is going on right now, if the person's happening right now, we could advise them they should contact the police, and have tell them they got to release the stuff on their Maryland Movers Act.
And if it's already happened, this is the kind of thing that they could file a complaint with our office. And you've handled complaints just like this.
Oh, yes, we've handled it. Yes, and I've gotten people their money back on it because it is illegal. 25%.
25%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So depending on how much and when this occurred, the moving law took effect October 1st, so it depends on when this occurred too. Okay. But they do have a 25% window under the new moving law. Maryland law changed recently as of October 1st of 2011. Now when you get a move, they have to give you an estimate that is binding or non-binding, and they have to disclose to you whether the estimate is binding or non-binding, which basically means if you get a binding estimate, that's it. Most movers are going to give you what's known as a non-binding estimate, which basically means it's not binding on you or them, and it could change at any point during the move. But always ask for quotes, always have people come out and look at your house and look at your stuff, because it's the big problem we're having nowadays from a lot of is internet moving quotes. People get an email saying, yeah, we'll move your 3-bedroom house, 2-car garage for $800 next Tuesday, but they've never come out and seen that you have bedrooms full of furniture, books, cars, whatever. There's no way for them to be able to give you an accurate quote unless somebody actually physically comes out and looks at your stuff.
Right, but these are exactly the kind of complaints that we handle in our office, and unfortunately we see a fair number of these.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Here's a question that's coming in from Silver Spring about a consumer who was approached by a man in a local shopping center and asked if I wanted a dent on my car fixed. Well, I can tell you that right now we have an investigator in our office who's working a case just like this, filed by a man who is 89 years old, paid over $500 to have a dent taken out of his car in a shopping center. The work was done improperly, and we are now trying to find the man that took his money and hopefully get it back for him. But an 89-year-old victim had this exact problem that we're getting a question on from someone in Silver Spring.
Poor man, you know, paid this man over $500 to fix a couple dents in his car, and unfortunately it turned out he made the situation much worse. He actually damaged the gentleman's car. What this gentleman did was not a proper repair. I mean, basically he basically punched a hole in the side of the tailgate in order to put a pry bar or a screwdriver in there and use it to pry out the dent that was in the tailgate. And unfortunately, he just caused more damage than probably the dent that was in the tailgate, because now the tailgate's going to maybe possibly have to be replaced. You know, I don't know how good of a, I mean, they may be able to repair this hole and all, but it may take some work, and basically the dimples in the tailgate, they're going to have to repair those too and straighten the tailgate out. So it's going to be a bit of work. Definitely probably more than the $550 that this gentleman paid him, and unfortunately I got his money back out of it, but it may not, he may have to pay more in repairs to get it fixed properly. But the gentleman was smart enough, he got a business card from the guy, which turned out to be completely bogus, but he also wrote down the tag number of the vehicle that the repair person was driving, which helped us when he filed the complaint. We were able to track down a tag number, and it turned out it did actually belong to the man and identified doing the repairs, and we were able to, I was able to contact the gentleman and you know, threaten enforcement action, and you know, he was doing illegal work because he wasn't licensed in the county to do the work and all, and he actually refunded the consumer the entire money he had taken from him. So we actually resolved the case for the consumer, and the consumer is quite happy in getting his money back. This is another car we looked at. You can see the paint doesn't match. It's just slapping Bondo and all on there, but you can actually see that's residue of wax, that they actually, the same type of thing they did on this car to try to cover the poor quality repairs. Like here, you can see where they that's just slapping Bondo on there and drilling a bunch of holes and squeezing it in. Now, that's the underside of the trunk of the car where they drilled holes to try to pull the dent out and then slapped body repair putty, you know, over top of it, body filler. You can see this was a Hyundai. It's now a Hyundai Antra now, but I think it was an Elantra at one point. And all, very, very bad repair job. And all. Unfortunately, the police interrupted this as it was happening in a parking lot in Bethesda, and we managed to, the guy got locked up. The gentleman got locked up for damaging the lady's car, and I charged him with unlicensed repairs. Yeah, this is what they do with the wax. This is actually like wax or polishing compound. They cover the repairs up with this to try to cover the poor repairs, so you don't see it until the next day when they're long gone, and you buff that off to supposedly make it shine, make it look good, and then it's not. You can't make you know, this type of thing look good. You know, you're not going to make that look good. You know, they didn't even bother to sand it down properly, and it's just slapped on there. And that's one of the problems with these parking lot repair scams. They may actually cause more damage to your car than actually fix the problem with your car. Basically, one of the big no-nos is don't have somebody fix your car in a parking lot. We do have mobile repair people. There are people who are licensed to do mobile repair, but they're going to show up with probably some kind of sophisticated truck to be able to have supplies and equipment and everything like that, and not show up in a car or just a minivan or something like that normally, and may have some kind of markings or things on their side, and you could ask them to see their license, and if they're legitimate, they're going to show it to you.
So certainly if you're ever approached by someone in a shopping center, you don't want to do business with them. They do shoddy work. They have tricks to be able to take your money before you realize the work is done improperly. And once they're gone with your money, and you have more than a dent as a problem. You'll have a lack of money in your wallet as well. And hopefully we can warn this consumer so they don't lose their money.
Hey Doug, your toy's up there on the windowsill.
Yes.
Why?
Just to, I don't know, break things up, I guess.
Nothing.
Levity, you know, I mean, I think I have a pretty good sense of humor, so just gives me some levity in the day. Yeah, I'm taking off. I've got court tomorrow in the morning.
All right, that sounds good. Is that unlicensed repair shop?
Yeah, the guy up in Gaithersburg we found was operating out of that like shack. So yeah. So
okay,
so I'll
sounds
be
good.
in court in the morning in Silver Spring.
All right, good luck. Hope
All
you get a good judge.
Thanks, Eric. I'll see you tomorrow.